Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone.
Hi all.
Happy Friday.
Yeah.
How are we? Well, we're good.
Yeah. It's been a gorgeous day, yeah, so can't complain. Been nice. Been a bit out of the garden, a reefing, a little bit of work on the side as well, got in the way, but all good.
Oh dear.
Been glorious down here today. Don't know if it's been up where you are, Tom, but
a bit steady. We had a little bit of drizzle yesterday, a little bit overcast yesterday, but today's perked up a bit. Normally does when I go back to work, perks up a bit, but such is life.
yeah.
But no, wedding tomorrow, so not ours, not yet anyway. But fortunately, it's going to be a good day tomorrow, so fingers crossed. We're not burying the sausage because it's not our wedding. No, I knew you were going to ask that.
I'm not going to say anything because you're a non-believer. I'm wasting my time.
Not converted yet.
No, I haven't, have I? Bloody sausage. That is a non-believer.
Oh dear. Hey, if it works, it works. Fair play. Fair play. So, other than that, good weeks, gentlemen. In general.
Yeah, I think so. Reefing wise, it's been all right. Tank continued to improve. Shifted a couple more coals in another tank. So yeah, steady week, I would say. Just kind of, week in, week out, same routine, clean up the tank. A bit boring, really, isn't it? But routine hopefully wins the day.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Sounds like a daily routine for Rob. That. If you want some staff, Rob, you just ring me and I'll supply you some.
I've had a guest this week, haven't I? Lee came down.
You have, yes. Yeah, Lee came down when he went to get his zebra tank from AAC. That's right.
Yeah. So I met him at AAC, then he came back and we spent, I don't know, probably a couple of hours just chatting the reef as you do. And what else have I done? I put a new pump in today, new wave maker.
All right.
A Voyager HP 10. Don't know if you know, it's got a big pump actually, just to get some more surface agitation. So
yeah.
And what else I do? I put a new ozone unit on because I noticed my water wasn't quite as clear as it was. So I just binned the old one and bought a new one because they're like 50 quid units. So yeah, I think that's about it for this week.
Good. Well, I'm glad you both had good weeks because I've had an absolute crap one.
Oh no! What's happened now?
Where do I begin? So when I do a water change, I haven't got enough spare plugs at the back of the garage where I've got the vat, the water that I mix the water in. Yeah. So I have to turn the skimmer. So basically, I have to turn the skimmer off because that's the last one, and put the heater in, basically. So I have to swap them round. So I did that, did the water change, went to put the plug back in the skimmer wouldn't turn on. So I thought, I don't know, maybe people think of this differently. I thought maybe I've, I don't know, blown the fuse. So took the fuse out, switched the fuse over. No, nothing. And obviously, because it's a rather exclusive one, you've got to have that stupid like travel adapter thing that you plug in with the round plug on it. Mm. So I thought maybe it's that one. So took one off one of these behind me. It's the skimmer in the garage, by the way. Took one of these off behind me. Tried that, didn't work. Tried something else in the plug. That did work, so I knew it wasn't the plug as in on the wall. So I took it apart, had it working a little bit, and then ironically Lee came round last week and swapped with the pH probes on the apexes. Couldn't get it working. So sent an email off to Royal Exclusive and they just came back to me saying, yeah, it's discontinued, we can't repair it. right. But we advise these are the alternatives, for 400 quid or whatever it is. So anyway, so that was Saturday, Sunday. That happened. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That happened. Then I came in at the weekend, and one of the OPEC bars that I've got in the garage that lights the sump up, I've got two. One of those was in the sump, completely submersed. Not tripped the electric at all. So I don't know how that's happened. It's not tripped the electric. So pulled that out. And then a couple of days later, the other one decided to throw itself in the sump as well. So two OPEC OR 60s or whatever they are, 30s, 60s, yeah, 60s I think they are, threw themselves in the sump. So they're both dead. And then went in the other night.
What brackets do you use? one you can say, well, maybe that's all right, but 2 to go. DIY or
Ties. Is it
it was
ties,
a it was a Tommy Brooks special. It was a zip tie method. Yeah,
okay.
that went awfully wrong. And the scariest thing is though, it didn't shoot the electric up neither time. It shoot the anyway. So yeah, we've killed. So the skimmer pump's dead, but that did me 12 years, and it was second hand at 12 years. So I think that's good innings. I'm sure you guys do. Well, I think it is.
I think it is.
12 innings.
Yeah.
12 years, good innings. But yeah, the light bars have gone kaput. So they've tried doing the 400-meter backstroke and lost. And then I went in the other night to feed the fish in the garage, and one of the wrasses had jumped out and was like a crisp, and the other one was in the filter sock in the sump, brown bread. So yeah, so I lost it. So killed the skimmer pump, killed 2 lights, and killed 2 fish. Comes in 3s apparently. So that's my week.
What wrasse were they?
A 6-line and a secretive wrasse, which was really nice. I really liked that one. Anyway,
That sounds like
that's my week.
There's something about pumps, and when you switch them off,
don't come back on.
their weak point is switching them off, and I do wonder if I did, water changes and stuff like that. For me, smaller tanks, just put the water in and then take the water out and don't actually turn off the pumps. I know you don't, 10% doesn't become 10%, it goes to 8. I don't know what the maths is. But there's certainly something in it about not turning your pumps off unless you really have to. Because I had a Vectra S2 went on me after 18 months. And that was because I turned it off and I turned it back on. Could be a coincidence. So I do, and certain things happen to skimmers and return pumps. Touch wood, the Vortex, and because you clean them, didn't you? You have to turn them off to clean them. Whereas the pumps here, I tend to leave them on, take them out, dip them in the bucket of water, get a toothbrush and clean them whilst they're still on, and then I put them back in because all the wiring's it's a bit difficult. Whereas the Vortex is easy, isn't it? Just to take the wet side off. But I do wonder about turning pumps off to do water changes and stuff like that. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but it seems to be a weak point.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I did the usual. Well, if I turn it off, clean it, turn it back on again, cross my fingers, toes, everything else, it'll work. And do you know what the irony is? It actually did for like 30 seconds, and I was like, oh, the sigh of relief. And then it just went completely. And I was just like, oh god.
Gutting. Yeah.
I took the impeller out, and the shaft on it as such just looked really like just burnt and just tired, and that's why I was hoping they could fix it. But yeah, I got the standard discontinue model this, so you'll have to buy a new one. And that was a bit of a catch-22 for me because obviously, in most scenarios, if it had not been, the skimmer it is and the size it is, I would have probably just gone out and got a second-hand one again, or a brand new one. But 300-400 quid for the pump, you're going to pay 200-300 quid for another decent skimmer. I may as well just get the pump for it and have a really, really good skimmer, which I've had for 12 years. So don't forget another 12 years out of it.
I think it's a good choice in replacing the pump rather than the whole skimmer, because as you say, 12 years is good for a pump.
Technically,
yeah. Well, if anything's going to go, it's going to be the pump. If anything's going to go, it's the pump, isn't it? Let's be honest. Your skimmer body, the acrylic of the skimmer body is not going to, unless you throw it on the floor and smack it, crack it, you're not going to. Yeah. So, anyway. And then I've got, but my Friday's been enlightened. My week's enlightened by spending the next 2 hours with you two gentlemen. So there we go. Everybody else that's tuned in, every cloud. So on that note, let's say hello to everybody that's made the effort, and thanks again for everyone who's coming to see us tonight. So we've got a competition which I'm going to talk to you about in a second as well. So first one in the house was Cottage Reef. Evening, Cottage Reef.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming in, mate. We've got Gazza's Reef. Evening. Skids. Evening.
Evening, Skids.
Regular. Techers joined us as well. Evening, buddy. the one and only
Hi, Johnny boy.
Mr. Right.
Right.
MK Reefer, evening.
Hiya.
Who else we got? Oh, Darren's made one this week. Just making up some RODI. Be back in 5 before I flood the place. Hope everyone's well.
Yeah.
Thanks to
Everyone
good.
said that.
Yes. Yes. Evening, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
And we've got Stuart. Evening, Stuart. Crikey. Loads of people are joining us for that. Jupiter's Reef. Evening. Oh, I've got to read these out, haven't I? Even though I don't want to.
Just take it
Happy
easy.
Friday.
Kieran.
Good
Yeah.
evening, Ryland. No, I'm fine. Oh dear, I'm sure let the show go, let the games commence. Woody's Reef, evening. And who else we've got?
Hi, Woody.
Don't know who shouted to. Rennie's Reef. Reef 216. Thanks for joining us, mate. Haley. Evening, Haley. Hope you're well.
Hiya, Haley.
Mr. Bensley. Evening.
Hi, Dave.
The one and only Mr. Pond.
Mr.
Evening. Who was kind enough to put on a competition for us this evening.
Excellent.
Liam, Guild Aquarium.
Hi, Liam.
Wow, it's like a really long register here. No wonder Jason gets out of breath at this point. JB, evening, JB.
Hi, JB.
And I think, oh no, better late than never.
Yeah.
Late evening, buddy. And I think, I know, they keep
Yeah,
coming.
Zoo.
Evening, the zoo.
Hi, Tommy. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, evening. Timothy, thanks for joining us. What else have we got in the house? We're nearly there. Oh, no.
We've got Alex.
Salty sausages, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
And, keep coming. It's brilliant. Carl, how you doing? Hope you fixed or on the mend? Nearly fixed. And
You'll know when Carl
No.
is good. You know when Carl is good because he'll start up another tank.
Yeah.
what else have we got? I'm going to say this is Lee Snow, as I said last time, or L33SNO, but
Yeah.
evening. Thanks for joining us. That's got to be it. Oh, no. Orange Reef. There we go. Last one. I will shout you out if anybody else joins in the meantime, but thank you very much. Right then. So, Christian's doing a competition with us, which I'm going to do at 9 o'clock. So I'm not going to spoil it yet, but if anybody that's still tuned in at 9 o'clock, which I hope you are, then you have the advantage of being able to enter at 9 o'clock. Is that fair, Paul? You're all right with that? So you're going to be my mediator?
Yeah, whenever we're good to go.
Yeah.
So do you want to show the picture yet, or show the picture later on?
No, show the picture later on, because it will give
Right.
people a chance to probably cheat, because I know there's a few people in the audience that will definitely cheat, because I would. But I can't. Oh, and Critical. Sorry, buddy. Thanks for joining us, mate. Happy Friday. Right then. So this Friday's conversation, how much is too much? So would any of you two like to start off this conversation, this topical conversation? I could pick on you, Rob, but I think Paul's going to start voluntarily.
I think it's there's no logic to it. I think it's driven by emotion, because
Okay.
I would not pay over, say, £200 for a coral, but then I go and buy a rainbow chalice for 250 or 300 quid without pausing for even thinking about it. But then I'd also go and buy a piece of kit that's 500 quid. So my mind is not logical in terms of that's my ceiling on something, but there might be other things where no, I'm not paying more than that for that. So that's kind of a very broad brush. So for me, there is no logic, and it's driven by emotion. And I suppose my biases of what I've built up. Because why would you spend that on a piece of kit, when actually you look at your tank, and I wouldn't spend more than 250 quid on a coral unless it was a chalice. That has no logic to it whatsoever.
So the chalice is your Achilles heel then?
Yeah, I love
much.
rainbow chalices. If I see one and I really like it, it's a bit different, then I will even if it's only kind of a centimetre square, I would still go and I would still fork out for it. Whereas if you said go and buy a banana
torch, yeah,
250, 300 quid, I'd laugh and say you're having a laugh. But what's the difference? It's still the same money, so it's kind of your preference on
personal
that.
preference.
Okay. I'm going to do a couple. We'll do a couple of polls, though. I think. So I think it's important that we, like, the viewers, sort of have a say. So I think we're going to go. We're going to talk about fish, Rob. I know you're a fish man. Talk about fish, and we'll talk about coral, obviously, and probably equipment. Maybe. Yeah. They're the three that I pulled out my head earlier. Three obvious ones for me, unless you guys think otherwise.
I think also the overall cost as well. I think, how much is too much? Probably people don't realise how much they're going to spend, say, in the first 12, 18 months. And if they did, would they actually start a tank? Because you see the cost of the tank, then the equipment, we said this before, and you got to get your rock and everything else, and then you got this cost to get it wet. And then once you got it wet, you got all your supplements and all the kind of stuff that you spend to keep it running.
Yeah.
And then also all your coral and basically your livestock.
Yeah.
So as you go into it, and I don't know how many people actually try and cost all that out. It might cost what the original setup is, but then you think after 18 months, oh my God, I'm in too far.
Yeah.
This is the most famous line ever. I've got to jump at it straight away. That one.
That is a standard response.
That is a standard response. So fair play, Jeremy, straight in there. I mean, for me, I have to keep credit card receipts if I use anything with my business account for my accountant. So you obviously can claim the VAT back. So I tend to just save every receipt. And a couple of years ago, got to a point where the receipts that I'd bought for the business were like this much. The receipts that I'd got for everything fish related was like this much. And I sat down and added it up, and I just, I stopped halfway through. So I don't save them. So I don't save them anymore. So if anybody says to me, "And in LFS, do you want the receipt?" It's gone, no. Unless it's equipment, but I tend to have an email confirming you've had it delivered, etc. Anyway,
I'm really good because Jill doesn't care what I spend. In fact, if we go AAC, she can't often persuade me to buy a goniapore or something like that. I don't really need it, especially if I'm trying to close a tank down. So I'm really lucky that she really doesn't care what I spend, and the AAC receipts are just lying around and stuff like that. So I am lucky in that respect.
Yeah, it makes it easier, doesn't it? That's nice.
Yeah.
But I gave up keeping. When I started the fish room, I started off with a spreadsheet.
Oh dear!
And then after I bought the tank, the stand, and the return pumps, I think it was, and I added it up, and I just went, I don't want to know anymore. So I just deleted it all. So I got no idea.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
Absolutely. I think when you go to an LFS and you spend 150, 160 quid, and you got home and you haven't got anything that actually you put in your tank, and you go, oh my God, what have I just spent? Now, you guys obviously got far bigger tanks than I have, and I've got three tanks, but you come back and you think, what's that? Or you spend some cleanup crew, and that's 100 quid.
Yeah.
And then you just think that's a lot of dough. That is a lot of money to start looking at it. But as we said before, it's a lifestyle, and you buy into that lifestyle. So if you worry about the money, you probably would get out of the hobby. You can cut corners, and there's things you can definitely do to make it cheaper. Yeah. But you just kind of accept it's expensive, and it becomes more expensive the more you go into the hobby and the more you decide to invest.
I think it's hard to enjoy it as well if you don't enjoy it, just spending money basically.
Yeah.
If you're always, if you're disgruntled about paying, 300 quid for a coral and stuff, especially if it dies. I mean, that's the other thing. You're not even guaranteed. You buy livestock, you could have wasted all the money.
And of course, if something's going wrong with the tank, you throw cleanup crew in there. And because if there's something wrong with your tank, so if you've got cyano or dinos or some of that, quite often a lot of the cleanup crew will eat that and then they'll die anyway.
Yeah.
There's some snails that are okay with cyano, but a lot of them, for example, are not. So I've kind of only recently started putting cleanup crew in here, because if I just put them in there, they would just die.
Yeah, it's going to die.
No point. And then you start buying the the magical potions and all that kind of stuff, and you're going, and before you know it, and you're spending loads and loads on different things to try and get your tank right, and then you increase the water changes, so you're using more salt. So if something goes wrong, you end up spending arguably more than if you're on an even keel with your tank.
Yeah.
So do you buy things on impulse then, or do you do research first?
I tend to research, but
let's be honest though. We've got a reefing Bible in front of you right now. You got your hand on it. How many of your purchases for your tank have been impulse, and how many have been not a massive amount.
I'm pretty good, but there are impulses. The tank behind me, probably none. But in the other tank, and certainly as I get into the hobby more and more over the years, I've learned to do my research and say, no, I'm not going to do that. But corals, I look at it and I go, I'll have that. It's a pink Goniopora in the other tank, and I didn't need it, but I looked at it and just thought it's absolutely fantastic. And then Jill said she'd buy it, so I wasn't going to turn that one down.
Yeah. So I think everyone's done that. I think it's very rare to find someone in the hobby who's not with livestock. Maybe corals as well. I impulse buy. Well, I don't impulse buy, but like Paul said, if I see one, I'll just go, that's really nice. I'll just buy it. Basically, it's not like a fish. It's just not going to have a same impact, is it? So
did you decide with some of your fish, Rob, that you were having them no matter what the cost, to an extent?
Well, the main ones, the Achilles and the Lanardi.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say no matter what the cost, but I have got a kind of limit. It's just quite light.
What's the limit? How much is the limit then? When do you say no, it's too much? When is too much to Rob?
Depends. Also depends what the fish is, because I wouldn't spend $5,000 on a fish that's got a 3-year lifespan. Because you think that's too much. Maybe if it's got a 20-year lifespan, I'd think about it. But I mean, it's individual for the fish as well. Obviously, you've got to love the fish, but
what about one of these?
Peppermint.
Would you have one of those?
Angels.
Yeah, because they come in at $23,500.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Really? I would say there's better angel fish out there than that. That's okay.
Just in case anybody's fancying buying one, then they come in at $23,500 on the currency converter.
Why is that? Because they're so hard to collect and they're rare. I'm assuming.
Yeah, just rare, I guess, aren't they? Are they a deep water angel or something?
I better say a lot of the deep water fish are really expensive, aren't they? Because of the risk they take and how far down they got to do and look after them before they can ship them.
Yeah, get swim bladder problems and stuff. But I mean, it's pretty, isn't it? But is it $23,000 pretty?
Eye of the beholder, isn't it? For me, no.
Yeah.
No, not for me either. So, is it fair to say that we have got limits? Because I'm sure we all have, haven't we? And sometimes we break.
Well, I mean, everyone has limits, don't they? Because unless you're, a billionaire.
Of course.
Exactly. We've all got financial, whatever our heart tells us at some point, our wallet goes, you can't have it. Like a $23,000 peppermint angel, But I think within reason, I've spent a fair lump on some fish. But it's like I said, when you're buying them, you've got to be prepared to lose them as well.
That's the thing. Would you be prepared to spend, if you spend 250 or 500 quid, would you be prepared that actually you wake up the next day and that coral has died, or the fish or the fish is lying on the bottom? Because that's the risk you take, especially with, I think, would you say fish more than coral? Because fish, you don't really know the journey it's been on, and actually, is there a bigger risk with fish than corals?
I guess on certain rare fish, I guess, if you're paying, thousands, you don't know what because not enough of them are brought in, are there? So there's nothing to kind of gauge it against. You know, if it's a one-off, you know, you don't even know what it eats. You know, if no one's had it, you got a big steep learning curve on a fish that's cost you a lot of money. If it's a deep water fish, it's probably going to want a cooler tank, you know, lower light, all of those things. Yes, corals should probably, you know, if you buy a £500 torch, you've got a reasonable idea of what sort of conditions you want to keep a torch in. Chalice.
Well, in second place with the fish, you've got this guy, which is coming in on a Friday night at 13.5 grand. If you fancy a masked angelfish, if anybody fancies picking a couple up over the weekend,
that doesn't do it for me either.
I mean, it's weird because I look at some of those fish that cost that amount of money, and if that fish was 50 quid, no one would give it a second look, would they?
I wouldn't buy it. No.
Sure.
You know, it's weird.
Would you buy it for 50 quid? I mean, if you had that kind of money, you're getting it maybe for bragging rights, aren't you? I suppose.
Exactly.
On that side. In terms of the fish, people are not going to go, wow, that is absolutely.
No, they're not.
If I look at the vampire tang, for example, and you know, if I look at that and the way when I came in to see your tank and it was going along and it was black and then it was silver and the blue was popping and then it was going black again, that to me is an interesting fish.
It's so weird, Paul, because Lee came and sat in front of my tank for 2 hours and he went to me, that vampire tank's my favourite fish in the tank.
They're lovely fish.
Yeah, I know.
Was that while Lee was actually sat in your tank though, not at the side of it?
Just scrubbing his arms. I just found it weird. The two people that have come and they both picked that same fish.
Yeah,
as their favourite
I think
fish.
because I've had a vampire tang as well, so I've watched the one I had for, I can't remember how long I had it. It might have been 4 years, and from a small fish into fully grown. And you can see the behaviour of it and just really the colour changes and all from a juvenile to an adult. And that's one of those that when it goes to an adult, it's definitely better as an adult because of the blue around the edges, like petrol blue.
Yeah.
But I think the fish that I always concerned about when I buy it is a wrasse. Because I always hold my breath about, am I going to see it in the first 3 or 4 days after it's started? Because they don't travel well, do they? And quite often they can damage their mouth. Yeah. And it's only happened to me once where a wrasse has disappeared and I've never seen it again. All the others, touch wood, I've been quite lucky. Now, whether it's because Paul's had them and he's looked after them, he's gone feeding, he's been in the tank for quite a while and he looks after them, I don't know, but it's only happened to me once. But I always think the first week for a wrasse is probably the most when you hold your breath.
Yeah, nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't got
my biggest financial loss, actually, wrasse. I bought myself, I don't know, it's 5, 6 years ago, maybe. You know when you treat yourself for Christmas because you know what you want. So I bought 3 wrasse. I'm trying to think. I bought Lenardi wrasse, a feminine wrasse, and I can't remember what the other one was. But I spent just under 3 grand on 3 fish. Just I think like December the 20th or something. And by the 1st of January, they was all dead.
Oh. Ow.
Yes. So that's why that was a good Christmas for me. That was the point that made me just go, I'm gonna learn how to QT everything.
I mean, they are tough. They are tough, though. I mean, Leonardi and Fems are
they are tough. Yeah,
tough fish to acclimatise to your tank, let alone long term have success. With them.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to say, if money's no object, the next on the list is you can get one of these guys.
So Tom keeps saying.
I've never seen these. Peacekeeper maroon fish. They're coming in at 7. They're coming in at 7 grand. Pocket money to you, Rob. Pocket money.
Is that a captive bred? That looks like something that's bred, doesn't it?
It probably is because it's probably a cross, isn't it, between whatever and ever. No, I'm not a lover of that one.
Not a lover of that one either. All right, okay. All right, you'll keep talking. I'll see if I can wet your whistle with something that's a little bit more.
The other thing is something like that, though. If that's like the first generation cross that someone's made that, and you go with a 7 grand, you wait 5 years and someone keeps breeding them, that'd be like £100 fish. If it guts
it's a bit like coral. corals than that with the zoas when you
Yeah.
used to have to buy 150, 200 quid a polyp. You know, utter chaos when they first come out. They were really expensive. And of course, they're really easy to propagate. And before you know, they were 10 a penny.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she's a bit upset.
Reef King's put in there about peacock wrasse are nice. I had 4 peacock wrasse in the 5-foot tank. And my only regret was not buying 7 or 8 because the way they actually swam together in the tank.
Nice.
I mean, they're fantastic coloration, I think, of peacock wrasse. And they're not, I don't think, one of the harder wrasse to look after. And they're quite docile as well in terms of aggression to one another. And I do regret not getting more because to watch those 4 swim around the tank was just in a blaze of colour because they're obviously a rainbow colour, aren't they?
Yeah, they're lovely.
They are superb. I only had problems when one of them turned male because that did cause some problems with them in the tank because I think by then they'd moved into another tank and it was a 3-foot tank and there wasn't enough room for the 4 of them. Okay. So I had to kind of get rid of a couple and then both of them I've lost since. But I had them for about 5 years in total, the peacock wrasse. But for me, they're my favourite wrasse. Not that I've got a massive experience of them, but I do like them. Not as good as your Lenardi, but that's something a bit special.
No, she's doing well, isn't she? Yeah, she's lovely. She is. Yeah, I like tamarin wrasse as well. I like all the anapsis, to be honest, but red, yellow, and black tails I really like.
Right, while you two are gassing, I'm just going to start the first poll of the evening. So we'll go with fish, since we've been talking about fish. So you can only do, was it 4, Paul? You can only have 4 categories. Is that 4 options?
Yeah, 4 options.
Let me think about this sensibly. Right, okay.
So Reef wants a shark.
Well, do you know we were talking about impulse? We were talking about impulse buys, weren't we? Ironically, and Liam is
absolutely
a prime example of that. And it was Drippy's influence, just to dob him in. And he even tried getting me to have one at one point when we were on that day out. Anyway, right, I think I have done this right. So we're going to go with what is the most you have ever spent on a fish. We're going 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 250, 250 to 500, 500 plus. Right, so here we go. Answers on a postcard, please, if you can. And let's see what we end up with. So, right. Most I've ever spent on a fish. I've answered this question. Somebody asked me not so long ago. It's my purple tang, 85 quid. Most I've bought and paid for a fish. Personally.
85 quid.
You've had that for a while.
I have.
That's the most you've spent on a fish.
Yeah, 85 quid. Fish don't do it. Fish
don't do it. The internet's gone.
Fish have never. I nearly bought a gem tang a couple of years ago when they were like 1,500, and I just couldn't quantify spending that much money on one. Or should I say? Yellow tang now. I love yellow tang now, but there's no way I'd pay 300, 400 quid for them. I wouldn't.
I've got to say, I missed having a yellow tang.
Yeah, I've got one, but I got 3 for 99, as the story goes, if you remember. Yeah. They were all juveniles back 12 years ago in one of my first systems. But sorry, Paul, but no, I don't know. I just think I as more a coral lover, would think about how many frags I could get, or how many other things I could get with the money. So
I love a yellow tang. The last one I bought was 30 quid. That's so many years ago, and that I haven't got anymore.
Yeah.
I think it'd have to probably be a 5-foot tang. I probably wouldn't put a yellow tang in one small. That's just my preference. But if I went back to a 5 or 6 foot tang, I would pay the money for a yellow tang. Wow. It's probably the only tang I would have. The only other tang I would want is an Achilles, but I wouldn't have an Achilles unless I had an 8 or 10 foot tank, because I know, one, the flow really needs to be higher, and you need to put lots of feeds in there because that keeps the aggression down. Only from what I've seen from videos and speaking to you guys. They're the only 2 tangs that really interest me, I've got to say, out of the 2. And I'd go for yellow. Probably I would never have an Achilles, because I doubt very much I'll have a tank of that size. I couldn't go through getting a tang, it outgrows a tank, and I have to get rid of it again because I was gutted, as I say, when I had to pass on the vampire and the regal. So I will never do that again. And I wouldn't put a yellow tang in something smaller than 5 foot. My preference, people do. That's up to them. That's just how I feel about it. And they're one of the smaller tangs, aren't they, yellow? I think.
Yeah.
Sabremosa, yeah.
I just like the coloration. There's not much in the hobby that's yellow. There isn't many corals that are yellow.
Yeah.
And there's
it's quite a rare colour.
There's not many fish. I know you can get some wrasse, like silver belly, banana wrasse, but there isn't a massive number of fish. Fox face as well.
Not for such a blotch of colour in one go, is there?
Yellow, isn't it?
Yeah. I just think yellow is a fantastic colour to have in a reef tank, and probably because it's quite a rare colour. There ain't much yellow knocking around in a tank. As a rule,
and a lot of non-reefers pick out a yellow tang when they look at a tank, don't they?
It just stands out.
Yeah.
I can remember years ago though when people used to have shoals of them in DTs before the silly prices. You used to see them with, Anyway, so what's the most you paid then, Paul? Are you gonna spill for a fish? Can you think?
Under 100 quid. I'm trying to think what the most I bought a.
Rob's sweating right now.
5 or 6 amphibs.
Rob's just thinking about the line.
Probably about 80 quid. Probably about 80 quid. It's not. I'm trying to think what fish that would have. Look at the fish I bought recently. Because I don't buy that many fish. I've only got 3 in there, 4 in another tank, 4 in another tank, and all that. I haven't bought a fish probably for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
I don't, because I buy fish just because they do a job, which is they help feed the corals.
Yeah.
And because the tanks are so small, I don't overstock them, because if I overstock a 3-foot tank, the nutrient problem I have with that is just unbelievable. More than, whereas at the 5 foot, I had about 25 fish, but that was more than 3 years ago, and I didn't add any more fish after about year 5. So I went almost 2 years with no fish because it was fully stocked. And also, I'm thinking I've got 20 odd fish. I stick another fish in, and I've got a problem. It can wreck the whole stock. So once I'm fully stocked, that's kind of it for. If you went 5 foot again, then, or larger, what fish would you sort of spoil yourself with? What would be your pride and joy? The yellow tang would be the pride and joy. I think I'd go for a group of amphias. I do like amphias. I'd probably add about 10 amphias, maybe a bit more. I'd probably go for a group of peacock wrasse. I'd probably add 8 peacock wrasse in one go. I don't know.
That's quite a big spend, isn't it? When you buy like 10 amphias, they're 40 quid each. They've done 400 quid.
Yes,
you make yourself feel as better as you want, Rob. We're coming on to you in a minute, mate.
One small beer. So that's what I would probably do. I'd get a shawl of amphias or a peacock wrasse. That would be the kind of the showpiece. 7 or 8 of those. I'd only do that. So either I'd do amphias or I would do peacock wrasse. I do like springer damsels, but I had those last. So I added 7. It went down to so I added 8 and it went to 7. But they're fairly cheap. But they're really nice. They spread out across the tank. They all have their own territory, hence why they're last. You need a big tank with lots of coves, so they've got their territory, and then they flash a really deep blue.
Yeah,
so they're quite nice as well. But I just want to go to something different. So I don't know. I'd like to get some angelfish. But the problem is I'll have to build a tank around the angelfish, and then I wouldn't worry if they nipped on SPS, but I'd be worried if they nipped on the war paint scully. There's no way I'm letting anything near the war paint scully because I love that coral. So I would like to have angelfish. Whether that means I have to have a fish only, one day I might have a fish only system just so I could go with angels fish and not have to worry about that kind of thing.
So you pay £400 for a yellow tang. Let's just say standard price at the minute, 300-400 quid. What would be your personal limit? I know that's based on circumstance, but what would be when would you say, no, that's too much for a fish?
On a yellow tang, I don't know. If the price went up
any fish,
probably 100 quid. Unless I thought, my God, I absolutely love that. But a yellow tang, when I'm ready to get one, I'll pay whatever I need to get to get it.
Fair enough.
Like that fish. Now, if it went across £1,000, I might go, that might be a bit too rich. I'd probably look for a tank.
So there's your limit then.
Yeah,
a grand.
yeah.
So there's your limit.
I think
okay.
so. I'm not. If I had a big enough tank for Achilles, I don't know how much an Achilles is. What's Achilles? 1,200, 1,500? I've got no idea.
No, I paid 8 for mine.
800.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're going to come on to Rob in a minute. But I'm just going to, because to be fair, Rob, we want to get to grips with, what you've, how much pocket money you've spent and how many jobs you've had to do for it. Anyway, let's look at some of these comments. We'll go on to Rob because I'm interested to see what Rob's got to say for himself. Christian's saying he's had a really busy week, just filled his full display with 50 prized frags. Oh, the pain of having a selection box behind you, mate. Yeah, looking forward to see that. Who else? What other comments have we got? Look. The months, 1,000 calls healing away for the next update. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Nice.
Let's have a look. What else have we got here?
Lee spent some money on fish this week, hasn't he?
Yes. Must be something really exciting happening in Tom's garden. The amount he keeps looking out there when talking. Oh dear. Anything else we got? Oh God, there's so many comments. Have a look. Who's talking to each other by the looks of this? Tom will spend 20 bags of sand on his tank, but won't spend 5 on a hair transplant in Turkey. No, I won't, mate. That's down to Jay. That's where he is at the minute, getting his teeth whitened and he's getting his starfish bleached. Right then.
Oh, God.
I don't think there's anything in there. Let's have a look. So many comments. Everybody's busy chatting together on a Friday night. Right then. So, go on then, Rob. We'll go back to you then. So, talk to us about your fish selection. What's the limit? Where do you start to, I don't know, wince and think that's too much? I'm not spending that.
I've never actually set the limit. No, it's not. I've never really come across a fish that I want, because I don't look at things like peppermint angelfish at 20 grand because, I haven't got any angels really. Got a couple of cheap ones, but I wanted to kill it. Unfortunately, the time I wanted my Achilles is just as the Hawaii ban came in, so they were like super difficult to get because they've actually come down in price now because now they've found somewhere else to catch them outside of Hawaii. Yeah. So you could probably get them for 500-600 quid, and they come in smaller as well than they used to. So yeah, I suppose individually, I'm trying to think. On the most I've paid probably about 1,500 quid for a fish as an individual fish. The Nardi Ras, I think the first one was 1,500, and as I said, it lasted 2 weeks. My current one was 900 quid, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a lot. It is a lot, but it's all relative, isn't it? If you love the fish, I've got corals. Actually, I paid £1,000 for one of the chalices in my tank that no one even looks at. It's sitting there just growing away. Yeah.
Wow.
We'll come on to that.
Wow. We'll come on to corals in a minute. But back to fish. So 1,500 then for the Lenardi.
On an individual fish, but I bought 6 yellow tanks originally in my tank. So I had 7 because I had a wild one and I bought 6 of the biota ones. And I've had to move them on because they keep fighting. So I'm down to 3 now. And I've bought some really silly, can't even remember what they're called now, Anthias. I bought 6 of them and they were silly money.
Wasn't it Purple Queens, was it?
No, I can't remember. They all dwindled away. They lasted about 18 months. But that's what I was saying about if you're going to spend that sort of money. Anthias, quite well known, aren't they? They pick each other off and
bit like Cronus, didn't they? They had the pecking order on the weakest one. Unless you've got a big tank like yourself or loads of hiding places, they still can do. But a smaller tank, there's less places to hide, and they do seem to kind of get rid of one another. I think if I had a tank that size, 13 foot, I probably would push out the boat and probably spend more on fish, because you say it's relative. You spend that much on the tank, the running
exactly.
costs. So therefore, the fish, yes, it costs the same amount of money, but relative to your ongoing costs and everything you've done, it's smaller in percentage. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
I know what you mean.
for a tank, I probably would have a combination of tangs or larger fish, those kind of showpiece fish, like the Nardi or something like that.
Jill's just picked up a soil for 40. Liam has to say, sorry.
And they get big, didn't they, the sows?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, a lot of people move them on as well, don't they? So you can pick them. You can pick
That's
them
maybe where you can get it really cheap, because people are desperate to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And Lee's just splattered his pocket money in one go.
Yeah.
Right then, let's look at this. Let me look at this poll. So I will finish it now, and the results are 50% of people are saying they spent 0 to 100, 31% 100 to 250, 10% 500 plus, and 7% 250 to 500. Out of 38 people voted. Thanks for voting. Wow. So yeah, I'm tight when it comes to fish, clearly.
I think also most fish are under 100 quid. If you have a smaller tank,
you're limited, aren't you?
Expensive going to be for bigger tank because they're bigger fish, possibly. And then would you go for a rarer one in a smaller tank? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are. Is it the Swiss Guard, the Basilettes, things like that? They're like £1,000 fish, and they're like 2 inches long. There's not many out there, like you say. There's not many for a small tank where you can spend that amount of money, really, is there?
Not really.
Oh, you could have one of the one of these I saw the other day. Blade fin basket, is it? Yeah. They're coming in at they're coming in at £6,500. So guess what, a couple.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if I was tempted by something like a white tang, like Casper, you know, like Wild Corals have got.
Yeah.
If that was I reckon if someone said to me £5,000, I'd buy it. But it wouldn't be £5,000, would it? It'd be like 15, 20. Yeah.
But that could change colour. That could change back to yellow. That's the thing with some of those molds.
Yeah. The second I take it home.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they change back to how they originally are, and you've lost your values going through the floor.
Yeah. It's a chance you take, isn't it? That's why I haven't got a koi tang in my tank, to be honest. Because the really nice ones are just stupid money, aren't they? And then, like you say, they just, and a lot of them just look like a dirty Scopus tank, to be honest.
I mean, if you look at a lot of the expensive, if you've got a 3-foot tank, how many gallons is that? Probably 45 to 50 gallons, something like that. How many fish are out there that are expensive that would fit or are recommended for that size tank? So I'm assuming the average is probably now about 3 foot. I don't know. It could be smaller, because you think how many nanos are on the market, like the 170 to 200. These ones, people have downgraded a lot. So a lot of people have 4 or 5 foot plus tanks.
No, I can tell by the manufacturers, can't they? They've all kind of downsized and pushed for the smaller tank.
You think I'd love to all of the tanks that were on display other than one, because there was Max Spec, there was Red Sea, there was DD, there was the Neptune, there was the TMC. They nearly all had a nano representation out there, whereas you go back a year or 2 years, Max Spec wouldn't have had it. DD didn't have the 600 until relatively recently. Neptune new on the market.
Yeah. It's obviously being driven by the consumer.
2005, I paid £17 for a yellow tang. Wow.
20 times as much.
Yeah. Accurate, to be fair to Darren, he's commenting on, I wanted one of these Golf Lake Angel years ago, because they were like a bit fashionable, weren't they? So like what, about 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when they first started, they were like 400 quid-ish from memory. Like what we're talking about yellow tangs now. Are they still that sort of price now? Because I don't really look at fish, to be honest, when I go in the shop. I might have a glance, but
don't know.
What's the standard?
No, I don't, to be honest. No, I don't.
The fish that I really like is the Flame Angel. and they
Yeah.
did used to be about 30 quid, and I think they're about 180 now. That's another fish that is on the kind of bucket list that I would like to get. But again, you got to be careful with corals on.
Yeah,
that.
it can be a bit tricky, can't they?
I just think they look really nice. Whereas I look at Coral Beauty compared to a Flame Angel, to me, there's no comparison. I know some people like Coral Beauty. It doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I've got a Coral Beauty in mine, and a nice little fish actually. But I see him about once a week. Forget he's in there.
Yeah. So look, Darren's saying that average price of Achilles he's seen at ASC is 450 600.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah. That is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's not too much different to when a yellow tang was 30 quid, because they've always, well, maybe there's about 300, but they've always been quite expensive. So that's not a massive markup compared to say 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I think they went up and then they've come down again, haven't they?
Yeah,
Hawaii ban, and they found them elsewhere.
I tell you what, there is a good post. It's quite a bit earlier from Gaz at 8:19. He talks about the cost of his tank, his lights, and his skimmer, and you can just see. You know, I can think about when I started doing that, and you got something else, and then you're thinking, "Oh my God, does this ever end?" And of course, the answer is no. That one, the tank, $3.5 grand, and then you got the lights, and so I think the equipment, you can say the size of your tank depends on what end of the spectrum you get of equipment, doesn't it? Whether you go for Ecotech or you'll go for maybe AI, for example, in lights. And that's that. Anything else? You just, what's that? 3.5, 5.5, 6, 7. That's 7.2, and that's not all the stuff you need, is it? From a kit perspective.
No, there's no livestock.
Yeah, and then I mean, rock. You kit out a 5. Well, God knows how much you guys spent on rock, but a 5-foot tank now, even a 3-foot tank, and that's without getting pieces of live rock.
I think I spent £1,000 on rock. I bought 10 boxes of D&D. Is it 100 quid a box? I can't remember now.
Wow.
I do remember going, I can't believe I just bought all that money and it's rock. And it just...
My rock skate was one of the biggest spends on this build. Definitely. Like I spent, what did I spend? $2,000 on my rock skate.
Yeah, because you had a custom, didn't you? So you paid for the privilege, didn't you? Which I kind of get.
$2,000 a rock skate for 500 quid on roller foss pulling fast. And then another 300 quid on our DI because they're all silicates. Then a silicate remover. Then a silicate tester. Yeah. Anyway, such is life.
But Tom, would you have done anything different in terms of that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I knew how I wanted it to look, and it's
so
like
when
you
set another tank up, you'd do the same route, would you? You'd use the same rocks, same.
Ooh. No, I think I wouldn't. I would do less rock, but it would be live rock, obviously cured live rock, seeded, etc. And I would just have literally, sounds really boring, I'd have literally like 4 or 5 corals, but I'd just let them grow massive. Because it's something that you've really got to have the patience for, I think, as a reefer, as a coral like collector or grower or whatever you want to call yourself. And I just think whenever I look at tanks that have had the biggest impact for me anyway, in terms of visually, they tend to have no more than, I would say, probably half a dozen corals in them, SPS corals, but they are massive, in terms of size. I just think they just demand, they just demand a little bit of attention as opposed to what I'm probably going to end up doing here, which will be like, Pokemon, got to have them all sort of thing. Yeah. one on every corner sort of thing. The bonsai look as you disapprove.
The problem you've got is you have loads of space and you want to fill it, don't you?
Yeah,
and that's where the problem starts. Unless you can put them on something, and then as they're growing out, you then remove it. Or what some people do, they'll get 4 or 5 frags of the same coral.
Yeah,
put it in together, and as they grow, they then grow into one another, and then actually you get a bigger colony sooner, and you avoid the pick and mix. Because I ended up, that's saying it's really hard to avoid pick and mix. I think in a reef tank, but I'm with you. Bigger colonies, smaller number. I think just it's more. I think it looks better. So I agree.
Yeah,
I think I'll end up having just to let a little bit of coral warfare go off and see, the old, Dolph Lundgren. If he dies, he dies.
Yeah. Oh, you could just remove the
So,
ones you don't like so much, I guess.
Yeah, put him in. That is the ideal with the garage, is to be able to put them in the fag tank in the garage. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's nice.
right. We're getting up to 9 o'clock, Paul. We're getting ready for the competition. Christian, if you're still on, you need to remind me what your rules are, because you've changed them a few times on your messages. So, new conditions on the competition are: it doesn't matter if you have been to the shop before. The only condition is that they have to come and pick it up by the end of this month in person. So, please don't enter if you're not able to go and collect it from Christian in Ripley at Signature. And I'm now going to ask him what it's called, because we're going to have to give it. So there's no wheel, Paul. The rules are, he wants to give it to the person that calls it out first.
Okay.
Guess the coral, and they get a free frag of it. So I'm actually asking him, because I thought it was something. I actually thought I knew what it was, and I'm wrong. What is it then?
What's the scientific name for it, or
no? What he calls it on his page. So I'm sure there'll be a few people sat
with his
quite
page
excited
open.
with his page open on their browser on their iPhone or whatever right now. Is it really that? All right, okay.
So one thing I would say, I get why he's saying end of month, because I have still got stuff from Love to Reeve that people have not picked up.
Oh God!
Or arranged for it to be posted.
Really?
So there was some bits that I left at Paul's, and they could go and collect it. Not a large amount, to be fair. I emailed them. I haven't chased them anymore, and I'm not going to chase them anymore. And because he's done up the part that he's now, I've now got it back home, the pieces. So I've got about half a dozen things that people just didn't bother picking up. And when was that? That was like May the 18th or whatever. Yeah. So I get where he's coming from in terms of he doesn't want to hang around. You come and get it, and you come and get it soon. So I know what he means on that respect. So I had some sympathy with him putting a time in there.
I know what it is now. I should know what it is. Anyway, so we're going to go. Are you ready with the picture?
Yes, in there. If you have a look at the bottom, it's there.
Oh, am I ready? Right. So
it's there for you to put on screen.
I'm going to do it at 9 o'clock. So we've got 30 seconds. So
right. So you're going to put it on the screen, and the first person to put it in the
comments. In the comments, the correct answer will win a frag of it, but they have to collect it before the end of August. Right then, we are 10 seconds. Oh. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're not going to lift off here. Right. Go. What is that? Sorry, it's an SPS coral. Go on then. Comment. First one in the comments to get it right will win it. Oh. Everybody's paused. Nobody's commenting.
Yeah. There's some frantic searching on that website going on.
There is. Not seeing the correct answer yet. They've both guessed what I guessed, and it's not right. Darren and Crow.
Yeah.
And it is collection only. It's collection only, isn't it, Tom? Because I think someone's asked
It's collection only, yes. From Christian. He's in Ripley. Yeah.
It's nice, whatever it is.
Rocky Balboa. No.
You not got a bit of that then, Tom?
I'd like a piece. Can't comment.
No, I was going to say, shouldn't have asked.
No. No. Keep going. Oh, red stick with blue tips. We're going to talk about corals next anyway, but before we go to equipment. But let's wait till this. Hey, we have a winner. No, not that one. No, stop commenting. Alex has won.
Alex.
It's a PC rainbow, which I was
Really?
shocked about. It is.
Ah.
Christian Swears Blind is a PC rainbow. So, Alex, you are the winner. And I will happily take you to collect it, because then that means I have to collect something myself while I'm there.
Yeah. Is Alex up there?
Anyway. Yes, he's one of my reefing buddies. He's only 5 minutes away from me.
Oh,
So,
okay,
yeah.
right. Oh,
So well done, Alex, mate. Congratulations.
Nice.
Right then. So, Alex wins. And I'm sure there's a few people going, it's not. Well, it is, because that came from Christian. So if you've got an issue with it, message him.
Yeah.
Right then. Corals then, boys, gentlemen. What's the most? Well, you've spent £1,000 on a chalice, so that's got to be the most, surely. Unless you can tell me you bought two at the same time.
I bought a load of corals with that at the same time, yeah. But yeah, that as an individual piece, yeah, that's probably the most expensive. I'm just trying to think. I'm pretty sure it is.
Wow.
Yeah. It's still there.
And what's the most?
So that's something nice. As long as it's not dead, which is good.
So most of your corals in your tank frags then, or have you gone all out with colonies then? Because it's a big tank, I'm assuming you wanted to fill space.
I bought a few colonies, but I'm not impatient. I'm happy to wait. I mean, those corals have been in there, a couple of years. I mean, obviously they grow at different rates, don't they? So some of them are pretty massive now. But yeah, I've bought quite a lot of the high-end stuff. I seem to buy as frags, because you don't really seem to get them as colonies, do you?
No.
So yeah, so I've just got to sit and wait for them to grow out. But chalices, I always think, are a pretty safe bet, really. I think they're pretty hardy, reasonably low light, reasonably easy to care for. So I'll take a punt on that. I don't think if I saw some top end smooth skin acro for £1,000, I'd avoid it like the plague, if I'm honest. But yeah, frag, 100 odd quid here and there on frags is sort of nothing exceptional, is it?
So what's the most? So the chalice is the most expensive one you've got in your tank, and I take it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And would you spend that sort of money again on anything? Have you got anything? Have you got your eye on anything else, or you're not? Or not?
Coral wise, no. I'm pretty useless with corals, and I just
I wouldn't say that. You got some lovely pieces and some
nice. Well, yeah, I mean they're fine, but I don't have a kind of a list of what I want, and I just I walk in the shop and I go, that looks nice, and I buy it. So I'm not really fixated on what particular named corals, like a Walt Disney or all of that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, I've just started another poll on that anyway. So we're going. What we're going? Not to. Hang on. Well, let me look at the poll again. Not to 100, 100 to 250, 250 to 500, and 500 plus. I think the most I spent was I paid 400 quid for a banana torch about 3-4 years ago when I had the garage up and running.
Yeah.
Still got it?
I passed it on, actually, believe it or not. Didn't get what I paid for it, but got a bit less. But it was because they were quite a status symbol at the time, and it didn't really do much for me, to be honest with you. But no, 450 quid. I prefer my sticks, personally. But again, as you know, I don't think I'd pay more than 200 quid for a frag. Or I really don't. I think that's my limit. 200 quid, 250, I think. And I'm starting to wince because they're always the really expensive ones. You look at them the wrong way and they just die. And it's just a lot of money in it.
Corals, isn't it? Yeah. I always think there's just the chances of it being dead in a week they're just so high when you get them, especially if this is a small frag as well. You just think, Jesus.
And that's what I think I've always. Go on, sorry, Rob. Go on.
I was just going to say, I mean, 250 quid a frag, and then if you do that, if you buy 10 over the course of a year, I mean, it's a lot of money, especially if you're killing them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I just always compare it to. I always think I like. Well, if for 250 quid, I could have bought 4 or 5 or.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't know. That's why I've always ended up with average sticks, I suppose, and not like collector's pieces, as some people call it. But I've got some nice ones, but I don't know.
I
Yeah,
think in that tank, because of the size of it, once it's kind of 2.5 years, I think you probably could go with the higher end ones, and they're lower risk because of the size, and you've kind of tested it with other corals.
Yeah.
It's not to say you look at it and it won't strip, but I think a bit like on the bigger tank with the fish, I think bigger tank and corals, potentially you've got a better chance than in a smaller tank.
I mean, I didn't know that.
To suggest that it's just a gut feel, because I find looking after corals in a 5-foot tank was easier. And of course, if they get to colonies, I think they've just got a bit more
resilience about them.
A bit more
resilience.
Than they have. And I think their frags is when they're the most vulnerable. And then when they start growing out, I think they become a little bit easier. But then I've never had higher end acros because it's never really appealed to me, and I'm not really. I mean, I've grown sticks, but not seriously. I would say I've got sticks in there, and if they grow, they grow. They don't, they don't.
I mean, I didn't know that Christian did artificial corals, because obviously Drippy got 6 of them. Because they're still alive.
That's it.
What's Christy saying here? Thanks for the competition again, mate. Anyway, appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in and sticking that on the channel. Appreciate that. But yes, Christy's saying if it's aquacultured, it ain't gonna die. Fresh import. Sorry, you are burning cash.
Yeah.
No. I think most people will say that if they've got a frag from somebody else that's grown out in their tank, 9 times out of 10 it'll survive, compared to just getting it from a shop that got it on a Friday afternoon and you're buying it on a Sunday. But,
absolutely.
You know my feeling on that anyway. I'm not burning any more bridges. My house will get burnt down.
I've been interested to see how I get on, because I need to get hold of some decent sized millies for this spawning. So they're going to have to.
All right.
Because I can't. If I'm going to buy frags, I'm going to waste like 2 years just growing into a size. So I want to. So that's the only downside of the like the stuff that Christian does, is I can't go into him and go, can you give me 10 colonies that are going to be reproductive size? Because people, obviously that's his livelihood, and he frags them to
livestock. Livestock.
To get hold of those last colonies, you're kind of stuck into them. You've got to bring them in.
What size colony are you looking? How big does each colony need to be? Well,
kind of at least fist. What's that?
And how many of them do you need? Because you've only got the 170. So what, you're talking half a dozen?
Yeah, probably. I mean, not the ones I have in the tray at AAC that come in from Bali.
Yes.
Those minis, like
that kind of size.
Yeah. So in my head, one day I will just walk in there and go, Barry, just give me 6 of those in different colours. That's what I'm thinking I'll do. So
just like going to the greengrocer and getting 6 apples, just make it sound so easy, don't you?
Yeah. Just want 6 minis of different colours, basically. Yeah, I don't really, as long as they're not all green, obviously.
Could you get Paul to get you 6 wild colonies? He looks after it for maybe a couple months, 2-3 months, to really let them bed in. I mean, because I know he does let them bed him in that table. He doesn't just turn them around and sell them.
No,
keep them for a period of time, and you pay the rent from, so to speak.
Yeah,
you'll get 6 that have settled for a period of time.
Yeah,
no guarantee, but the longer they're in those trays, maybe the higher the survival rate of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly something I can talk to him about. Yeah.
Then he can bring them in for you. He might have some. I don't know if he's got any millies colonies out the back.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
You see millies in there, but not. I must admit, I don't look at the frag tray. The
he does have he's got like a deep red millie in there that he does. He might have a lump of that out the back somewhere.
Or if he's got I don't know if in the DT, because he's got some big colonies in there. If he could chop part of that big colony.
Yeah,
but I don't know if he's got any millies in that one. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah. So anyway, we've gone off, haven't we?
Right, back to the comments for a second.
It comes down to the cost, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beauty of cultured corals that have been grown out again and again and again become so robust, even average parameters will grow them. Yeah.
Become more forgiving as well, don't they? Which is what you really want.
They do.
He's talking about
do.
drippy there, is he?
High price tag for a name price. It's just a membership fee. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think. I think my limit's 250 personally. I won't think I've spent 450. I don't think I'd do it again. I don't know.
That was on an LPS, not on a.
That was on an LPS. Yeah, I know Christian's probably going. You know, you want collectors call. You got to pay top money for a collector's call. But then I know it sounds really silly, but when you start spending that sort of money, you almost like, I know Scott goes on about lineage and whatever, and it's a bit like you felt like you should get a certificate of authenticity, because the amount of corals I've seen on eBay and Facebook and whatever, and they're not what I know that they're not what they're saying it is, and they use all the little emojis with the rainbows and all the glitter and all that crap, and I'm just like, yeah, but it ain't a barley slimer or it ain't a this or it ain't a that. It's not. It looks, to the. But then if somebody's
that same thing when you buy your pedigree dog and it goes back like 6 generations, and
you can see the lineage, and you've got
you can see that.
The kennel club and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just you're taking someone's word on what they say, isn't it? Really,
you're paying a premium potentially for it as well for that name.
Exactly. I mean, like eBay, they love to tag it with like well-barred corals, and and you think
all of
that. You go, don't think so.
Yeah, and I think some of the time that's where the names also hike the price up, because if it wasn't called, Pinocchio Snot or Dragons whatever, then it wouldn't be worth. That adds a percentage on it. And Christian will probably not tell us what the percentage is for the name. That probably lifts it a little bit, but I'm sure there's got to be some multiplier in there. Anyway,
I think if the name helps to create a perception of rarity, then that definitely helps in the price. I mean, chalice, now rainbow chalice, you can get them fairly easy. But if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, they're quite hard to get. And so therefore the price was a lot more than it is now. I paid 300 quid for a rainbow chalice, and that was about a centimetre square.
Yeah.
You'd pay that money and you'd get one that's the size of a frag plug now, at least on that side. So the prices have come down on rainbow chalices because more people they're slow growers, but some people bought in quite big colonies, chopped them up. So there's more supply out there. Because it's not hard to get. At some point, it was really hard to get. You couldn't find them. Just before COVID and during COVID, they were tough to get, but they're not tough now.
I guess sort of confirming if something's genuine or not is going to be quite difficult, isn't it? Because like Christian again saying here, lineage takes some work to learn if they are right or not. There is a lot of BS out there, So I mean, apart from the obvious, colour and formation, and it's going to be different based on the parameters, surely, in the water. I'm not just saying about SPS here, in general.
Definitely in general, the colours change. I mean, I fragged the gold torch, put it in the tank next to it, it went brown, and then it came back because the parameters were different, the lighting was different. That was 2 tanks next to one another, but it's just different conditions. So I was surprised how it lost its colour going from one tank to the other, and it's the one that's sitting behind now, and actually it's got its gold back now, it's gone onto that, but I couldn't believe it totally lost its colour. Now, whether that's because it was stressed, it took a good 3 months to come back. But you do hear people saying, I bought this in the shop, I'll come home and it's a completely different colour. It's going to be.
But then like this brings me. Rainbow,
lovely, beautiful, multicoloured egg, and you bring them home and they just turn red or green, basically. Lose all of that. So I mean, they do change colour with conditions, don't they?
Yellow.
How many
green?
But how many times I've bought a coral off somebody and they've said it's such and such, but then in the earlier days of reefing, I've not really been able to question whether it is actually authentic or not. So you've just got to kind of, it sounds really suicidal. You've just kind of got to go with, if they say it's such and such, then it must be such and such. It's green with, pink whatever on it, or blue with whatever on it.
It's quite common as well to, you'll buy a frag and you have it for a couple of years and it grow out in your tank, and then you'll see a coral in a shop and go, that looks amazing, and bring it home and go, oh, it's the same
Yeah.
coral, slightly different colour, and I thought it was something completely different. I mean, that happens quite common. But I think the other thing is I guess everyone sees things slightly different.
Yeah.
You know, all three of us could look at the same coral and describe it in slightly different colours. So that's another thing.
Scottish Reef's talking about the Raja Rampage, Paul. Again, I'm not a chalice.
Yeah. They were really expensive. They were about 50 to 80 quid per eye when they
Really?
Someone brought them in from America, I would say legally.
Let's have a look.
That's where they came from. And because they're quick growers,
I was going to say they grow quick, don't they?
Really, really easy. But for for a period of time, they were really expensive. They went.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And then they come down, and now you can get a decent frag, 20, 30 quid.
Yeah, I was going to say they're nothing now, aren't they?
Maybe 2, 3, 4 eyes on it.
Yeah.
From a hobbyist. They're lovely coral.
This one.
Really nice because I've got
30 quid.
Yeah, the green. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And people were selling a different one as an imitation, and the difference on that is it's got the black around the yellow eye, whereas there's another one that I think it's a Space Invader. I can't remember, but it didn't have the black around the eye. So people were changing the colours of the photos to make it look like a Raja. So there was people buying Rajas that weren't Rajas. Although he's putting them under different light, and then there was going because it's not the brightest of coral compared to this other one that's really bright green and really bright yellow eyes. So there was people they was flogging them for Raja prices, and they weren't Rajas.
This Prestige got a Space Invader. There you go.
Is that a Pectinia or is that?
That's what he's calling a Space Invader.
Is that the chalice?
Space Invader chalice.
Yeah. So if you have a look at that
quid.
under different light, you could make it around the edge of the yellow go blacker.
Yeah.
And it Raja. And at the time, you could get. So that would have cost you something like 250 quid for that number of eyes.
Wow.
200. Whereas you could get that was maybe about £50 at the time, maybe less. So there was a lot of ripping off. But they come down in price now because a lot of people got them. And of course, you can frag a chalice with a pair of scissors really easily and get a really good survival rate on them.
It's because they grow really quick as well, don't they, Rajas?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to stop this stream. So, end poll. And stop this stream, should have said end poll. So, what's the most you ever spent on a single coral? 51% have given us £100 to £250. And after that, we've
more than fish, isn't it? It's a percentage.
Yeah. And then after that, we've
torches.
Yes.
After that, we've got £0 to £100, 22%. 14% have spent £250 to £500, and 11% have spent £500 plus. Wow. Okay then. So
I think people are prepared to spend more on coral than they are on fish, just as a glance, because the numbers are slightly different, aren't they? In that space of 100 to 250, it wasn't 50% in that range on the fish, was it?
No.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, if you look at Jay's tank, stunning little nano tank, isn't it? He's got a couple of clownfish. I can't think what else he's got in there.
The sexy shrimp that he keeps going on about.
Yeah. But if you look at his corals, I mean, you look at them.
They're expensive pieces, those
torches. They are expensive, aren't they? So his outlaying corals been far more than his outlaying.
I think his most expensive piece, was the rainbow chalice. And him and Steve bought a piece at the same time from the same place. I think they paid 300 or 350 quid. And of course, that was at the time where it's difficult to get. I have to check when he's next on the stream, but I'm sure that was his most expensive coral. But he has spent 150, 200 quid, I think, on torches, as you say, some of those torches. And also, he's got some lovely Gonioporas as well.
Yeah.
I've just jumped on eBay.
Common. All right.
While you two were talking. No, I'm not buying anything. So Christian's put in here. What did he put? If you look at Walt Disney Acro, every import has them, every shop, every hobbyist will know somebody who says that they've got one. It's all BS. None of them are original lineage. And then when you jump to this guy, which to be fair, this is the guy that I comment about with he likes to push stuff, and if he can make money, fair play to him. So this is a USA import, and it's 400 quid for that. If you fancy buying that off eBay. Yeah.
Is it really that color? Because that is really saturated.
I was going to say, yeah, it's so saturated, isn't it?
The ones I like is when they're on the bit of what's it called? Egg crate, and the egg crate is purple.
Yeah.
Or it's not white, that's for sure. And you can say, well, actually, you've done a bit of saturation. But also, it says US import. You can't import from America. It's illegal to import that from America.
But he'll meet you in a car park within a 2-hour radius.
Nice. Not dodgy at all, then. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
Mind you, I've met people at car parks. I exchanged, I took a polybox to Canary Wharf when I was at work. So I had a white polybox and stood in the middle of the shopping centre at Canary Wharf to swap frags with someone. God knows what people thought.
Yeah, I mean, that looks sketchy.
I went with
That looks so sketchy, yeah.
With the polybox, went to work and then took it home that day and stuck it in the tank. So dodgy as hell.
Yeah.
Wow. God. A few guys are talking about Space Invader, Chalice Paul. You heard of that one before?
Yeah, that's the one we was talking about. So the one that people prefer it because it's a brighter colour. The yellows and the greens are a little bit more vibrant than the Raja. The Raja looks quite dull in comparison to.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've got you. Right, okay.
And
right.
It was cheaper. I don't know what. Maybe the price is comparable now. I don't know.
I've got 60 quid here. It's saying on eBay, 60 quid.
What, for a Space Invader?
Yeah, 60 quid.
You can get a Raja. I'd say that's expensive.
Would you?
Get, if I look on
this guy again who's going to meet you. This guy again who's going to meet you in a car park.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ultimate Reef, you can get Raja frags for about 20-30 quid.
Right.
I don't think Space Invaders so much on there, actually. But I would say you probably get it for not much different. But that's an Ultimate Reef. There's always Rajas on there.
That's a really good question, John. Do you know what? I'm going to ask that. I'm going to ask that question as a poll.
Maybe.
You two talk amongst yourselves for a minute, because I want to create a new poll.
I'm not sure I've ever done, to be honest. But
I'd say no, because if you buy a rare coral, quite often it can take ages for you to grow it out and frag it, and by the time you've done that, the arse is falling out of the market because the supply has gone through the roof. So I think it's really difficult to do. I haven't tried it. Yeah, and you've got to be able to grow it really quick to be able to frag it and make the money back.
Yeah.
Unless it's a really, really slow grower, in which case it's going to take you years to do it anyway.
I think most people will buy corals though with the hobby, and they'll try and use, as we talk about time and time again, they'll try and use frags if they can for swaps or for a little bit of money towards salt and maintenance of the system, won't they?
Yeah, I had a frag tank in the garage before I put the one in there, and I used to get loads of zoas, and the zoas would just pop. So I used to kind of Sunny D's, Bam Bams, all those kind of ones that are really popular. 5 or 6 heads on a frag plug, sell them for 20 quid, 15 quid, and it used to help me with salt and other stuff. But because they used to pop heads so quickly, it gets to a point where once you've got about 30, 40 heads on something, it just accumulates so much quicker, and so therefore you can frag them. And utter chaos as well. Rastas, all the ones that you name, kind of the top 10 kind of zoas that people buy and still buy today. So I used to get some not decent money, but enough to run that tank and buy salt and some other stuff.
It's a good comment from Darren. He's saying obviously charge shop prices for corals is a pass from me. I mean, there's a lot of time and effort goes into. I know Christian puts them through a very rigorous, vigorous, whatever you want to call it, QT cycle, which and I know Paul does. He's got his farm in the back as well, haven't he? Which all comes at a cost: lighting, flow, just maintenance, staff, the whole works.
A lot of overheads, isn't it? In a brick.
A lot of overheads.
Shop.
Yeah. definitely.
I mean, we said this before, but rental rates in the UK are really high, certainly compared to America. I don't know about mainland Europe and in terms of rental rates, I don't know, but it's expensive. Just your fixed costs to open the door is really high in the UK for any retailer, I would say.
Right then, should we talk about equipment, or do you want to carry on with corals for a minute? We've talked about corals, haven't we? Is anybody else in here?
Kind of done.
We've covered corals. What's your limit on corals, Paul? Did you really give us a limit?
It was 300 was the
300
that was a one-off.
Yeah.
That was that chalice. I don't think since then I've spent more than 120 on a coral, and that was the pink goniopora. If I look around all the corals I've got in the tank, I haven't spent more than that. It's not because it's a limit, it's just because I just haven't seen a coral that's been really expensive that go, wow, I really want
that.
And I tend to quite often swap with other people. So I'll, if I'm closing a tank down, I'll give corals away and stuff like that. And then I'll get corals back when I've got a new tank. And I haven't really seen anything that goes, well, I must admit, I like the look of the Space Invader Pectinia. I know that Christian's got a frag of that.
Yeah.
I do like that.
I like that.
And I've seen a picture. There's a rainbow one as well. I don't know how, I don't know whether that's a real look of what it actually is, but it goes with the name, doesn't it? It's got about 5 or 6 colours on it. It looks absolutely fantastic. But the Pectinias, they're really they're aggressive, aren't they? So you've got to have a lot of space around them. So you've got to make sure you don't have anything near them, because they'll kill anything around it, is my understanding. I mean, obviously Christian knows more than I do, but from reading them, that's what my understanding of them are.
If you fancy some homegrown stylos, Jippy's knocking him out at 300 quid.
Good lineage.
Yeah, good lineage. Bless him. Oh dear. Pectinias are incredible. Yeah, they are, to be fair. I saw them the other day. They are nice. They do definitely add a bit of colour to your tank.
Yeah.
So 300 for you. I'm saying 250 for me. What about you, Rob? Would you do £1,000 again on another chalice if you had the choice, or not?
I'd have to really like it, I guess. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't set limits unless it's just stupid. But I mean, I don't buy corals that often. So
no.
When I bought the first lot, I just saw it and thought, it'd be nice. I've got years to grow it out, so I'll just stick it there and leave it there, and that's it, really. I think a lot of it for me is confidence of just thinking that I've got the ability to grow the corals. Yeah, which is why I don't spend loads of money on the high-end frags at the moment. Maybe in a couple of years, 3 years, and the tank, and I'm familiar with the tank, and I'm happy. I'll invest some more money in it. But at the moment, I just think the chances of it not making it for 500 quid of a frag are too great. And when I get to with the fish, I'm happy. I'll spend that money on a fish, and I'm reasonably confident I'm going to keep it alive. I'm not there with the corals at the moment, which is why.
With the fish, with the fish, you're always saying to yourself, I suppose, as long as I feed it, as long as it's swimming, as long as it's wet, it's going to live.
Yeah.
With a coral, that's a different conversation altogether, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it's disease free, obviously,
Yeah, exactly.
When you've put it in.
Yeah.
I must admit, I like scollies at the moment. The problem is you can't get any of the really nice scollies. So you probably only get them in a tank breakdown. You get some. I bought a button scolly recently from AAC. That was 60 quid. That was quite nice. I do like scollies. I mean, the war paint one is my favourite. For one, I've had it for quite a while, and two, because it's quite rare now.
Yeah.
So I would like to increase the number of scollies that I've got, but the problem is finding them.
Yeah, I've got was it a bleeding apple, is it?
Yeah. They're nice, the bleeding apple ones. And then you can get the reverse one, which is what I've got, a button one, which is more red than the green.
Okay,
the bleeding apple are lovely.
But I mean, they grow so slow, don't they? Scollies.
Yeah. And you can't really frag it unless you're really brave. I know there are some videos and people have done that, and when we was over in Dijon a couple of years ago, you could see it. They'd chopped them up, but then they take about 2 years to
it's just
become
a hill
whole
and then
again.
they're tiny. Yeah.
I must
Yeah,
admit,
yeah.
I would love to try and frag a scully to see if I could make it work, but not the war paint one. That's definitely not going to happen. But
Yeah.
I would like to try it to see if I can get it
You
to
should
work.
do it live. You should do it live.
I did.
Yeah.
I actually did a live
You did.
stream.
I've seen the live. I've
with the
seen.
chalice, the rainbow chalice. Oh,
I've seen the
geez.
chalice. Yeah. You should do it
To
with a
add some extra
scully.
pressure.
You should do it with a scully. No pressure.
It's
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
nervous I've been on the with the because at
Yeah.
that point it was worth a lot of money, that rainbow
Yeah.
chalice, and everything was all right.
Yeah.
It's fine. I've still got the piece. It's still kicking. It's a lot bigger
Still-
now. But that it was nerve wracking, to be fair.
A couple of comments here I want to look at. So John's saying, great thing about this hobby is you can have a lovely tank with cheap fishing corals. I have to agree with that.
Yeah, you can.
And I'd also say that a lot of the corals, not necessarily fish, but definitely are. It's a fashion, isn't it? What's fashionable or what's in demand, now might not be in 6 months' time, a year's time. So the price will reflect it. I think that's pretty much supply and demand. To be fair,
I tell you what, a coral that's really underrated is Cyphastria. They are really nice corals. You can get branching ones and the different coloration, but you don't see many of them around. So you could easily see them coming into vogue because you're a coral that's fairly easy to look after. You can frag them. They come in different shapes and sizes, and some of the colours are fantastic. But the ones that just go under the radar, but you don't see many of them around.
Yeah, I love the branching Cyphastria. I love that sort of pinky, purpley. Yeah,
I've got one. Yeah, I've got a piece of that. It's really nice.
2 lumps of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my favourite coral, actually. In another stream I did.
Nice.
I didn't have anything expensive when the tank leaked. Still lost about £1,000 in livestock, though. I think that is literally like, because you can't insure your tank, can you? Nobody's going to give you the, insure your contents. So the more you spend, the more you risk to lose, I suppose. Acts of God and all that. Okay. Yeah. So the poll of who buys corals as a form of an investment has come back as 77% have said no. So thanks to 22 people to vote, 77 people said they've never bought a rare coral as an investment.
That's quite refreshing, actually.
Said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite good.
Because I did think that was happening with torches for a while, wasn't it? People were growing them at a price to grow them out, chop their heads off to get the money back, and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Well, okay. Equipment then, which was the last category, which is going to be a bit of a difficult one here because there's a few caveats to this. Because I think it's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on the size of your tank. But I suppose if we just take an individual item as a reference guide point, whatever, what is the most you would spend or have on a piece of equipment? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. It's relatively short. I bought the KH Keeper.
Okay.
Total waste of time, load of crap.
Wow.
And what did you pay? What did you give for it?
Whatever the price was at the time, 700.
800 quid, 799.
799, wasn't they?
It was. I set it up. I don't use it anymore.
We just got it sitting there.
Sitting there, yeah. A lot of the kit I bought over the years is actually second hand.
Right.
You can get some absolutely fantastic bargains.
Yeah, I agree.
Second hand kit. I think most of the lights in fact, nearly all the lights I've ever bought are second hand, other than this one that came with the tank. And I bought a brand new Gen 4, and that was at a discount because the shop was closing. All the other Radians I've got have been second hand. I think I bought one MP40 brand new. All the others are second hand. Vetra I bought was brand new. The nice skimmers were second hand. I just think I'd say you can't go wrong. You can, but I think you can. You think how many people close down their tanks 6-9 months later?
Yeah, I was going to say.
You can get that kit within a year old for less than 50% of the retail price. I think you're onto a winner on that personally. The shops won't thank me for that, but you can save a lot of money on kit.
You can, yeah. You're right.
And the second-hand market for, if you think for Ecotech stuff, is huge because the stuff just lasts.
Yeah,
The lights and the vortex, the lights go on and on and on. That's my experience anyway, because I've got some that are 9 years old of the Radiants.
Yeah,
still grow
there's
cold.
always Ecotech for sale on eBay. There's always Radions on there, MP10s, MP40s.
Yeah,
Like I say, it's always someone selling something. So
yeah.
yeah,
The only ones you can't get are the MP60s. Not many people have the 60 because they are so expensive, aren't they?
Yeah,
and actually, not many people need a 60. I know you've got a couple, but very rarely do you see a 60.
Got 5.
Five.
Yeah, got 5.
They're not cheap, are they?
No, they're £774 each. Yeah, just to move some water. Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah.
Let's look at some of these comments. Woody's Reef. Some.
Ouch. £5,500. Yeah.
I mean, if you buy
this,
must
got to have been answered for that.
Or
Right,
well, could be a 2-foot rod exclusive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They roll them out and all that. Yeah.
They look nice.
Wow.
But not cheap. I mean, if you buy the Apex with all the trimmings, that can come to thousands. I know they've got different entry points now.
Yeah.
But the base for an Apex used to be about 650 to 700 because there was only one version.
Yeah.
Now they've got the Junior and everything else. But you buy that, and then you buy some of the other stuff with it. I mean, the Salinity probe is what, 200 quid. They don't
I
sell
think
it
it
in
is.
packs anymore than I used to.
Yeah.
So I haven't replaced mine.
110 on its own.
Yeah,
it's rod exclusive there. Look.
Yeah. So if you buy Apex, the other stuff, you're talking at least £1,000, aren't you? And you
I think top of my head. I think the like the base unit with the Trident is that about 1,200, 1,300 quid. I think something like that. They do a package, don't they?
I was fortunate enough a few years ago to be in a financial situation to buy 2 on Black Friday because they've got H2O got 10% off, 15% off. So I bought 2 Apex. Apexes and Tridents at the same time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One for the garage and one for in here. Yeah. And I'm glad I did because I couldn't afford to do it now. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I did that with my my return pumps. I bought mine from Charthouse on a Black Friday sale. So I bought 2 of the A200s.
Or the Abyss.
I think it was up 12% off or something. Made them really cheap.
God, wow. So what's the single most expensive bit of equipment then, Rob, you've bought? Is it your pump?
No, it's rod exclusive sump.
Skimmer. Oh, the sump cost is, sorry. And what was that again? If you don't mind me asking.
Do you know what? I can't even remember, but it was probably $3,500, $4,000 maybe with the shipping.
Wow.
$4,000, I think $4,000.
That's the Rolls Royce, though, isn't it? I would say of the hobby.
I mean, it's not nice, Paul. It ain't worth $4,000. That's my 3-year review of it. Is that me? Did I freeze?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did. It's all right.
What was you talking about? You talking about the sump?
Yeah. So, well, I don't think it's worth it. So, yeah, but I think that's the most expensive. Obviously, other than the tank itself.
Yeah.
In terms of kit, like one individual piece of kit, it's probably that. And then next would be the skimmer.
Yeah.
And then it'll be the return pumps.
Yeah, I think I'm Apex, and then I'm probably the lights. Because each light's 600-700 quid each, and then skimmer. I don't think I'd pay more than £1,000 for something though. I think that's my limit, personally.
Well, a piece of kit, individual.
Bit tighter up here in Yorkshire, but yeah, I think that's my limit. Or a bag of sanders, Drippy calls it, but that's my limit. Yeah.
It's very rare to see certain things. I don't think I've ever seen a raw.
Well,
exclusive
I'm glad you
second hand.
I have seen an Ultimate Reef once, but that was a few years ago. I'm sure there was one on there.
When I was on the settee the other morning, like a sado, knowing we were going to talk about this, having a coffee before I went to work. I found something. You have to bear with me a second. And you know, you can search on certain websites, and you
Yeah,
can
you
do the whole maximum, minimum, and all that jazz in terms of price. Well, I did it, and I've never seen this before. And I'm going to see if I can. I'm putting myself on the spot here, aren't I? Relevance. Let's search by price descending. Put my fish tanks here. I can just imagine everybody going, "Oh, he's cocking it up already."
While
It
you're
was
doing
last-
that,
Yeah.
Christian, you asked me about the banana cyphastria. That's the only one that has not survived. So no, it didn't. So I got a piece from Christian when I went there. That must have been 2, maybe 3 years ago. Really nice. And that's the only piece of cyphastria I've lost. Mind you, I've only had 5 pieces in all the time I've been reefing, to be fair. But all the others have survived. But that one, for whatever reason,
Did it go quick or just slowly?
No, it was over about 5 months. Yeah, die off in certain areas, and then you could just see the algae growing on it. And whatever I did, I changed positions in the tank. Was it getting too much light, too little light flow? And it was the only thing that wasn't doing well in the tank. So I didn't change any of the parameters, because there's always a tendency of change things in the tank.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get it to thrive or
found
survive,
it.
let alone thrive.
Oh, right, he's found it.
I found it. Right. I've heard of the company, but I've never seen these before. And they're on Charterhouse. And they were $2,500 a piece, those light units.
I've heard of them, but I can't remember where.
$2,500 for one LED. That's a serious amount.
Is that the really large one?
I was going to say, is that like 6 foot long or something?
That must be a big one. 120, 1,500 quid, 90, 1,150 quid.
So 120, does that mean it's for a 3 foot? You got
150.
That's probably for a 5 foot tank, isn't it? 150 would be. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
does that mean
1.5
meters? Is that what that means, you think?
I'm just looking now.
Could be.
I'm assuming it will be.
In which case?
150 centimeters. Yeah.
And that's what, $2,000, one light fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many radions would you put over that? It's probably cheaper, actually.
Is it?
What,
well, I've never seen one for $2,500 anyway. So that's what I was saying. Never knew they existed. I just randomly decided to look at what was the most expensive light they'd got on their website, and that was it. $2,500. So if anybody's got one, I'm curious to know if it's any good.
You're going to struggle with your zip ties around that, Tom, aren't you?
Yeah, that's going for a bath.
Oh God! Don't you start. Hey, John Wright's watching, so don't forget he threw his XR30s in the tank or 15s.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I won't pay more than $1,000 for a bit of equipment. I really don't. So anyway, Tom, look up. Let's have a look. Look up. Oh God, here we go.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Lippy LED. The one.
Aren't they the ones where you can program the individual?
Each LED.
Yes. I'm sure they're about. They used to be, I think, about $3,000 a pop for a small one, and they'll come. They were just
Loopy
one.
LED. Thank you. We're going to say your spelling, mate. You've done me. Let's have a look.
Yeah. I don't know what it's still about, but yeah, you can program each individual LED, so you can have different spectrum in different parts of the fitting and intensity as well.
Right. Okay.
Average hobbyist, is it? That
can't find it online.
For quite a while, because I remember. Are they still around, Woody? Because I remember seeing it. It was a shop in London, wasn't it? In West London that had opened up, and they had those lights over a tank.
Right.
We're talking. I remember seeing it five years ago. It was before the live stream started.
Can you remember the Triton Larnies that they brought out years ago?
No.
Triton did their own light, didn't they? Years and years ago. LED. About 900 quid, 1,000 quid a tile. I'm sure they were.
Wow.
Anyway. Yes.
Well, exclusive for bringing the light out, apparently. I don't know if they've actually manufactured it yet.
Well, if it's anything like that tank that they're bringing out, it'll be absolutely crap.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Yeah. That was quite.
Wasn't very good, was it? It was all cabinet and no glass. From
Yeah. Right, I'm going to finish the poll. So we have got what are people saying here? 38% of 37% of people spent 500 quid to £1,000 on a bit of kit. Wow, 30% have spent over £1,000 or more.
Yeah.
So the majority is the 500 to the £1,000 mark, closely matched with 250 to 500 and £1,000 and over. Yeah, I should have done a £10,000 over one, Rob. So you could have commented. Christ on a bike! Wow.
I suppose that bracket though, that 500 to £1,000 bracket, it's like you pull, isn't it? That your auto testers, they all kind of fall in that bracket, don't they?
They're in the that range exactly.
They're all in that range, aren't they?
A lot of the other kit now is beginning to creep up towards the 500. Radians are in it already, aren't they? I think the 15s are probably below 500, but the 30s are more expensive. They're definitely above the 500 range. They've been above 500 for ages, haven't they? The 30s.
They're they're sevens, aren't they now? Like 700 quid for an XR30, I think.
Yeah, I've never had a 30 bought brand new. I don't think I would buy a 30. I've got to say, I'm a big tank. I'd probably go for 15s because they're cheaper, and also you get a spread, don't you? You got the two parks.
What are you doing? You've got 20 of them.
Like that. Well, yeah.
You've got 20 of them. You can have your own light show. You've got like 20 odd of them.
Yeah, I did. I said the other thing is that I spread the cost of them lights out. Obviously, I didn't go out and bosh and buying 20 on day one. I bought 6, I think.
Bought 19 and bought the other one the day after.
Were they all new, or did you buy some of them secondhand?
No, it's a mix. I think probably 2/3 of them are new, and the others I bought. They were reasonably new from tank breakdowns, or people else. I had a couple of people message me to see if I was interested.
Yeah.
So, and I think I bought 3 of the MP60s brand new.
Wow.
Two.
Wow.
I think the XR15 Gen 4s used are probably one of the best valued lights that you can. You get a lot of money. Reliability, controllability, what you buy, and everything else, and I just don't think you can go wrong. Do you know what I mean? And so if you can get one that you know has been looked after, that's a really good price. You can get that out for, and it will last you years, as you say.
I got my 215s off John Boy, bless him. He did me a really good deal.
So, I mean, it's like I don't expect to ever buy another return pump in my lifetime, to be honest. They come with that 10-year warranty.
You see, that's it. 10-year warranty. It's worth it. I think the only thing with some of the equipment that's silly money is you're going to get a standard 12 months, aren't you? Standard UK 12-month warranty on anything, if I'm right. Tends to be.
I think you can argue the case for 2 years because of EU and everything else. And also it depends on the value. The more you spend, there is something if you read into it, the more you spend, the more the expectation it should last more than 12 months.
All right.
Yeah.
So you could although let's face it, they try and palm you off if it's under 12. But you can definitely fight your case for more than 12 to get a replacement.
Yeah.
All I was thinking is there's a sort of a bit of a point where if you're buying something secondhand,
you've got no chance. Yeah,
you've got no chance, haven't you? So the price that you're paying for it is what I'm trying to get at, is sort of as a bit of a reflection on
it's a price.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it or not?
Longevity, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to.
That's what I'm saying.
50, you get 50% discount. Let's face it, most stuff you can get half price. Most of it, not everything, but you can. And actually, is it worth that half price compared to if it breaks in 6 months of stuff?
Yeah.
Because then you go and spend another one, and you've then spent the retail price. So there is.
There's a chance.
There is that kind of. What do you want to do? Do you buy new?
I think you had your bets with company you buy as well. Like you said, well, I was saying about Ecotech, you know, you wouldn't probably buy someone who's had a Jabal pump for 4 years and you're going to pay half the price what you could buy in a shop for. You wouldn't, it's not worth the punt, is it, really?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a good point there. Can you hit the likes, guys? There's 19 likes. So if you can hit the likes, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then subscribe to Tom's channel.
Give us some love. We're back again Sunday morning, Robert, aren't we?
We
Talking
are.
about fact or fiction. I haven't done my homework, and we're doing it tomorrow. So you'll have to excuse me. I don't have as much time as you and Paul and Jay. Anyway.
Oh, it's only such an hard drafter.
I've done a full week in the office this week, and Drippy's rung me every day and gone, "Where are you?" I've gone to the office. He went, "No, you're not." I went, "I am." And I've even had people in my office had to confirm that I'm actually sat there. So that's the extent that I've had him chasing me for the last couple of days. But no,
Drippy had me down as a bank robber, I think, in the comments earlier. Asking how many banks I've done.
Oh dear. I think the only thing I will say about equipment is as well is that there's some of the equipment that you buy and it's like, sounds a bit silly, but it feels it's like worth its weight, not in gold necessarily, but it feels value for money. Some of it feels like it's built quality, and some of it is just the completely other end. I'm not going to swear online, but some of it you're just like, really? I mean, I've opened a few things up before and just gone, wow, and you've charged me that much for that when it's just this, that, and the other glued together. But
yeah, it's funny. I did exactly that with the Aquamedic ozone unit, which I bought, which literally lasted, I think, 3 months before it just broke, basically. And then they didn't reply to any of the emails I asked.
Oh, really?
And it felt, I think they're under the £30, I think it was, and it just felt like there was just no. It felt like an empty plastic box. That's how light it felt.
Yeah.
You know, when you just buy it, you think, 130 quid, it just feels really rubbish. And then I bought the 50 quid Weir Pro one off of Amazon, and it weighed about 4 times as much. It works fine. Yeah. And you just think, so you don't always get what you pay for, I don't think, sometimes.
No.
But it's a weird thing, isn't it, with quality? Because our heads always go, if it weighs, if it feels weighty, it's got to be good quality. You could put a piece of lead in it.
I was about to say, they just put some weight in it.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the casing, there is, if you look at Reef Factory stuff, a lot of their casing on that is quite plasticky. I mean, it is plastic, but it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at some of the others, you can think, you look at, but it's weight, but also if it bends really easy, you think,
all flexes, and you think,
and it might be really good. Part of it and everything else.
The best equipment I've had with that over the years I've been in the hobby, and I should have held on to it, and I've not. Is what Josh has got. To be fair, and that's the GHL stuff. It just feels solid. It's just really robust, and it's well priced. I've thought you don't hear as much about them these days.
You don't, do you?
Compared to the Reef Factory stuff that I've bought on this tank, I completely agree with Paul. It's very plasticky, very rushed, mass-produced. It feels mass-produced. It doesn't feel as, not that I'm saying we're buying a 30 grand Rolex here that's been one of one or whatever, but it's
not what you expect for the price.
It's not what you expect for the price. Yeah. I mean, it's an expensive hobby as it is, but when you look at the gubbins of some of these things, you just think, well, that's been made in China, sent to Poland, and then you put a stamp on it, and now we've bought it for double the price.
Some do feel like that. It's like your skimmer, the bubble king skimmer. I mean, the thickness of the acrylic they make there. I mean, they are weighty, aren't they, compared to others? I don't think that warrants the price tag personally, but they are well made.
Just fair to JB. Do you know what? I can't give you an example, but there's a few things that I've searched for online, and when you search for marine such and such, the price is different as if you just search for such and such. If that makes any sense, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for the same item.
For the same item, is what I'm trying to is what I'm saying. So some things I've bought before have been cheaper just because I bought something, as it's called what it's called, not.
Yeah.
I'm reading Drippy's comments.
Oh, I know. I'm not calling him out because it's
just ignore it. I've been reading as well. What I've done, I'm actually gone full circle. I don't have as much kit on any of the tanks now as I used to.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, one of the tanks I don't run a skimmer anymore because I've got the clarity on it. Because I'm doing water changes. I've kind of dumbed down the tanks.
Yeah.
I've got a roller filter on 2 of them, to be fair, so you can say that. And I've got that's the primary, and I've got the doses, and I'm not got any controllers on a bigger tank like you guys got. Absolutely, I think that kind of stuff is a good investment. But I've come to the conclusion on the others that yes, I have got an Apex, and I've had that for years, but I think that's really good redundancy. And the controller on here, or the alerts I've got from the ATO and also the Apex, has saved my tanks over the years through heaters going. I forgot to turn the heater on, or run out of RO, or there's been a power cut, and so I've lost the connectivity, so I've come home. So those ones are good investments. But the other controllers and stuff like that, I've taken stuff off. I don't run the tanks anywhere near as much complex as I did.
It's funny to say that. It's funny to say that because that's exactly what I did with my Red Sea tank before this. Because Lee was asking me why I'd not got the Trident set up, and I've got the reagents for it. I bought a fresh box only a couple of weeks ago, so I was like sort of pushing myself to do it. But I feel like I've got to the point now with doing this on a Friday and with Rob and Josh on a Sunday and trying to do my water change. I just feel, and trying to keep the other half happy to an extent, 'cause it does have I do test the boundary.
Even more time, yeah.
And I just think that the more you add to your system, you could say in the long run it's going to pay off. But if you haven't got the time or you haven't got the patience or both to do it, then don't do it. And that's why I haven't done it, because I've had this tank. I mean, I'm getting more results or more success with the sticks than I've ever had because of the time I'm spending looking in the tank, not under the tank, at all the toys. As anyway. So, I spend more time observing stuff and doing water changes and testing my water than I do pissing around, refilling a reagent and calibrating something, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do, but on a bigger system, when you're doing a lot of other things, that's where our golden rule of have you got the time, does it fit your lifestyle comes in. And at the minute, I'm pushing that boundary. So I'm just trying to, do what works for me without doing everything. And because I've done it before, my old tank, I've spent a full weekend calibrating, refilling, watching YouTube tutorials and stuff, and I didn't even look at what was in the tank. I was just watching everything else.
Yeah, but you'd have to calibrate that Trident anyway, Tom, so you won't like it.
I know.
You don't like calibrating, Paul.
I do not like calibrating.
It should last forever.
Right. I think you should just be able to plug it in. If you spend £1,000 on something, you plug it in, set and forget. Set and forget. That's what I say. Plop and drop off.
Anything to do with probes, then you're stuffed, didn't you? Because they have to be calibrated.
I know.
That's the long and short.
Get your finger out. Stop being lazy. Well, I wish I was, but Anyway, so I think we're about there, aren't we? Oh, Tim's saying he's had his Delta. He must have met his Delta skimmer before he's met his wife. 15 years.
Wow,
loved it.
Yeah, good little skimmers actually, aren't they? Deltex.
Good brand.
Buy cheap, buy twice. I would agree to an extent on certain products, but not all. I do think you can get away with certain. Well, I would argue that you can buy expensive and they might not last as long as cheaper ones. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's a trade-off, isn't it? Really,
bit of a trade-off. But no,
I mean, some things are just so expensive. I mean, I bought that Voyager pump, didn't I? That Voyager 10 or whatever it's called.
Who makes that? Is it a CJ one?
Yeah, CJ. It's Italian, isn't they? CJ.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
3-year warranty, I think you get with it. And I keep looking at the Abiz AFC 150. You know, the wave maker.
Yeah.
And I think the pump itself is like 3,150 quid, and then the magnet to hold it on the side of the tank is 550 quid.
Wow.
So I was looking at that. I had that in the basket over there, and then I had the CJ pump in the basket over there, and I bought the CJ. So it saved me like £3,370 quid or something. And the fish ain't going to know, are they?
No.
No, not at all.
So
Right.
some things are just insanely expensive, really.
Yes.
Well, thank you ever so much for everybody for tuning in and
That's
supporting the
brilliant.
channel again. And thanks, Rob, for joining us.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you.
Can't get enough of you, mate. See you again on Sunday morning.
It's just, the amount of holidays Jay have, I feel like I'll be here permanently.
But no, if you can, tune in Sunday morning, 10 o'clock on my channel. Myself, Rob and Josh are going to be talking about reefing facts or fiction. So I'm sure there's plenty of myth or urban legend that we've been told in the reefing community. So if you want to know if it's true or false, tune in on Sunday and join us then. But for everybody for joining in, thanks again. Have a good Friday evening, what's left of it. Enjoy the rest of enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you Sunday. Cheers, guys.
Brilliant.
Take care.
Thanks, all.
Bye.
See you all.